All right, guys, this is for the benefit of those who want to see the problems worked out. That were the 4 problems for you to try at home. It goes with the video that was on here for Wednesday. So what I have done, I've got the list of all of my unit circle with a tangent. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and start this. So the first thing we're going to do, because we are solving with square roots, I'm going to add 1 to both sides. And that gives me 2 sine squared x equals 1. Divide by 2 because I need the sine squared alone. All right, so sine squared x equals 1/2. And now I'm going to do, I've got to take the square root of both sides. And I probably should have chosen another color. As soon as you take the square root, this becomes plus or minus. So sine, remember the square root and the square cancel each other out. So sine of x equals plus and minus 1 over the square root of 2. Now, just so you know, 1 over the square root of 2, and you put that in your calculator, it rationalizes, and if I were to rationalize quickly for you, it would be the square root of 2 over the square root of 2, which is plus or minus square root 2 over 2. And if you look, this, since we're doing sine inverse, so x is equal to sine inverse of, it's truly plus or minus square root of 2 over 2. Okay, so if you look where we have sines, here's where the sine is the square root of 2 over 2. Here's where it's negative square root of 2 over 2, negative square root of 2, and positive square root of 2 over 2. So these are all the places. So we have 4 answers. And they are going to be at 45 degrees. These are the positive answers, 45 degrees and 135 degrees. And the negative answers are going to be at 225 and 315. Okay, and just like we did the other day, you can see with a highlighter real quick, this, there's your degrees for your positive, and here's your degrees for the negative. There's your answer, there's the degree. We'll clean this off for the next one, just so you can see that it's happened. Okay, that's number 1. Let's look at number 2. Well, number 2, I'm going to pick this up and move it over. And would you look at that? Everything is in the way, and this is going to come off the page. So I'm going to have to clean up some of this. I hope you wrote those answers down because I have to clean them up a little bit. My answers can stay at the top. That's the good news. I have to erase this stuff so we can actually work. Okay, and I'm going to clean this out of here. Sorry. It was there. You'll have to rewind to see it. My apologies, but it's got to go away. All right, so looking at the next problem, I have tangent squared x equals -3. I'm going to add 3 to both sides, and I get tangent squared x is equal to 3. Take the square root. And now this cancels, and I'm left with tangent x is equal to plus or minus square root of 3. And if you can see, these in green around here, these are my tangents. So that's the square root of 3. That's a negative square root of 3, but that covers the negative as well. This is square root of 3. That's square root of 3. So I have all 4 of my answers. So x is equal to tangent inverse. Remember the name we called those? We called those arctangents. That's the other special name, just in case you need to see it. Square root 3, and we're going to have 4 answers. We have 2 positive, 2 negative. The 2 positive are going to be 60 and opposite of 60. Hold on, down here at the bottom, 240. 60 and 240 for the positive. The negative answers, just so you know where they're coming from, is at 120 and 300. I put the check marks by them. They're right here. Okay? So this is where it's negative square root of 3, which was 300, and the 120 is that one, and there's 60, and there's the 240. Whoops, and I did write 24, didn't I? Caught it. Okay, these should be degrees. Shame on me for leaving off degrees. Yeah, I got them in there. All right, let's look at the next page. Not next page, next set of problems. So I get to scroll these up. The good news is I don't have all of my stuff left there. I get to, let's see if I can, it won't let me grab it. There we go. It's like, wow, it's the whole page is scrolling with me. All right, here we go. And maybe I'll put it right there so I can work here. Maybe that'll give me enough room to do this. I'm going to scroll it up as much as I can. There we go. Maybe I can leave it like this for both. I'll have to smidge it over. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is I want cosine x by itself, and I want this out of the way. All right, I'll have you know when I want to make that happen, I can't make it happen. All right, so plus 1 to both sides, and this gives me 4 cosine squared x equals 3. Divide it by 4. And so cosine squared x equals 3/4. Now, if I take the square root of both sides, this side's going to get the plus or minus with it, and this gives me cosine x equals plus or minus square root of 3. It would be over the square root of 4, but we know that the square root of 3 I can't take, but square root of 4 I can. So that makes it square root of 3 over 2. So now I have to do inverse cosine or arc cosine of plus or minus square root of 3 over 2. Now this is going to give us 2 positive answers and 2 negative answers. Okay, so if I go up here and I find my positive, I'm looking for cosine. Remember, it's in the x position. Here's square root of 3 over 2. And just across from there, square root of 3 over 2. There's my 2 positives. So I'm at 30 and 330. 330, yeah. 30 degrees, 330 degrees. And if I go across on the negative, there's negative square root of 3 over 2. Right there. And positive, oh, negative square root of 3. That's both my negatives, just kidding. So I'm at 150 and 210. 150 degrees, 210 degrees. Let's see if we've got room to get this last one worked. I'm going to move it over a little bit. Hey, I think that's just number 4. I can cut off the number 4 so that we don't see it. I will clean up a couple of these marks just so they're out of the way. And I think I'm going to pull purple. So we've got 3 cotangent. I'm adding 1 to both sides. 3 cotangent squared equals 1. Divide both sides by 3. Cotangent squared x, I just noticed I left off my x, equals 1/3. So now remember, this is one of the things that we don't use that much. Cotangent, here is our think cloud. Cotangent is equal to 1 over tangent. So when I flip this, I can flip this now or I can flip it later. This is the same as 1 over tangent squared x equals 1/3. So that means tangent squared x is equal to 3. And now when I take the square root, this cancels, and I'm left with tangent x equals plus or minus. Immediately upon taking the square root, we have to plus or minus square root of 3. So here we are back with the square roots of 3, square root of 3, square root of 3. So we've got 60, 120, 240, and 300. I am just going to tell you that's what it is. 60, 120, 240, and lastly 300. Okay, there's all of my answers, and I did do tan inverse of plus and minus the square root of 3. 4 possible answers. There you go. I hope this helped. Have a good one.